Okay, guys, welcome back to a new series. Um, Sorry about that. This series is the to-dos and not to-dos of Blender. Today we're going to be focusing on modeling. So what I'm going to do is show you what not to do and the solution for it. So first thing, when you have a subdivision surface, do not do add a loop cut and then push it to the edge. Instead, select whatever you want to sharpen, Control E, and then edge crease. You can do this all around, and it sharpens it. You probably want to select the edges instead of vertices, because it is way easier, and it makes them sharp. Okay, next, do not do control, the knife cut. Let's see. Okay. And make a shape like this. Do not do that, as it ruins the geometry. So if you ever went to sculpt mode, it completely, you can see it just does not look good versus geometry that's smoother. And if you did Control 2, as you can see, it has that little lip there, and it just doesn't work. Instead, let's see, yeah. So wherever you want your shape, go in and actually subdivide the whole mesh by 2. Take whatever's inside here, subdivide it again, and shape it there. So now in sculpt mode, you have a smoother mesh. Next thing is, as I said before, you were using knife cut. Instead of using knife cut, some people just shape it like that. That's okay if it's a high poly model, but if it's a low poly model and you do it, as you can see, it ruins the geometry on the whole thing, even though you don't want it. You don't want it on the sides. See right here, you don't want that. Okay. And the solution is the same as before. Okay, don't duplicate items outside of edit mode. Don't do this. Because when you're modeling, so let's just say you're going to have a character with arms and a body. Really simple here. And you want to edit every single thing. It is terrible if you're doing it out of edit mode. Instead, do it inside of edit mode. When modeling something spherical with a lot of detail, don't use the sphere, because if, let's just say you were doing it in sculpt mode, if you do it at the top, you see there's this point here, and it triangulates. And that is terrible. You do not want that. So instead, use an icosphere, make it smooth with subdivision surface. It just smooths it out. Sculpt mode, as you can see, it is way smoother and it works way better. Okay, next, do not think that subdivision surface is something that makes it high poly. When you do it, it just makes it smoother. It smooths the edges, and that's good for some cases when making something high poly. But you just don't want to make it like super duper high and think that's high poly. That's just making it smoother. What you can do is set it to apply it, go to sculpt mode, and then enable dynamic topology and make it high poly from there. And that's a lot better than just using it in subdivision surface. Alright. Next. When having something like a torus, let's see here, or a curve, better yet. When having a curve and you are shaping it and all that, and you just do a simple shape, don't overlap anything. Like, you really need, you can't see the curve that well, but if you look, it is overlapping. Do not do that. That is so hard. Like, if you do that, you go here, you make it full, some bevel, make it full, and then you don't see it, and you apply it as a mesh, you have to go in and fix it and all that. And especially if the resolution is high, it is such a pain to get it looking smooth again. Like, as you can see, that does not look smooth. So it's such a pain to make it look smooth again. So try your best never to let the curves overlap. Next, when using metaballs, try your best to not duplicate thousands and thousands of them and put them close together. Try your best not to do that, because you have your object, but then you leave behind all of these cylinders, or these circles, and you can do squat with it. And it is so hard to delete them all if you have thousands. Well, that's an over-exaggeration. But anyway, when modeling with, let's just say, a cube, and you're taking, and you duplicate the item inside of edit mode, and you're just going to make an arm. Right? You think that's good, right? But when you have it rigged, I can just rig it really quickly. When you've got it rigged, if you rig it, you know, if you just rig it, then, like, any way to rig it's fine. If you, the way that I'd recommend is having shoulders, but this is the quickest way of doing it. Okay. Here we go. Okay. You see, it comes off. So when you're animating it, and you're wanting to, like, grab something, you see, it actually comes off. The arm comes off completely. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't want that, unless it's a block type character. Then you may want it, but if you want it, that's great, but don't do it. For cones, don't use cones in modeling. I'm warning you now. You can't loop cut on them, 1. And 2, well, you can loop cut in some ways. And 2, their point, it's not, they just have a point, and in sculpt mode, it just doesn't look good. And in modeling it, it doesn't look good either. Instead, use a cylinder. Scale the top down. Don't merge it yet. Add a lot of loop cuts. Alt M, center. Now in sculpt mode, you have a smoother object to work with. Or when I say sculpt mode, it's not just in sculpt mode, it's in edit mode too. But sculpt mode is the fastest way to edit the model. So that's when I say sculpt mode, just take it as you can do it in edit mode too. When using text, don't think that you can, let's say something long. Okay, just a random thing here. You think you can assign something different, a different color or something to every piece of the text with your materials? Don't do that. As you can see, if I convert it to a mesh, you can't really edit it unless it's been changed. Let's see. It's only with some words. Let's see if I can find one that does it. Okay, well, anyway, I don't need to find it right now, but you see, oh, I can assign materials with different things. This is not only for text, but with different objects. You have so many materials here, and you don't name them. So if you don't name them, that's bad too, but if you have so many materials that aren't named, or so many materials that may be named, but you still have to go through them all, and you have to go through them all, and it sucks if you have to do that. So instead, just keep one material on every object. Select it all. Control, let's see, hold on. Press P by loose parts. And then select them all again. And press, let's see, if you go into the sidebar here, you can do set origin to geometry. If I can find it. Ooh. Well, anyway, you can do set origin to geometry. If you don't have to, there it is. Okay, and that works fine. If you don't want to do that, then use texture paint or vertex paint. I don't recommend vertex paint, but something like that. So try not to use text, especially in game engines, because you need Blender's text is very high poly. So if you're doing mobile games, then don't do that. That is actually yeah. So just don't do that. Instead, if you're doing games, make a plane, write some text on it, and that's what you would use in the mobile games. But this is Blender. So, yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want me to go slower, I can. If you have any suggestions for another series, then say down below. If you want me to do a lot more, I can. Tell me if you guys want this series to go longer, or if you just want it to be a couple of short little things and the series is over. Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next tutorial.